Welcome back. Or if this is your first time, welcome to this little space where we dive deep into stories and ideas that change the way we see ourselves and the world around us. Today, we're going to dive into a work that's not just a book, but a map, a compass into the most mysterious realm, the realm that lies deep within yourself. The book I'm talking about is Psychology of the Unconscious by C.G. Jung. When you hear the name Psychology of the Unconscious by C.G. Jung, you probably think of a thick book full of difficult academic terminology, right? Something only for scientists, professional psychologists, and dry laboratories. But I want you to dismiss that image. Instead of a textbook, think of it as an adventure diary, written by one of the greatest explorers of the human soul. And even more interesting, it is a map for you to discover yourself. For me, the first time I held this book in my hands, it was not just reading a book, it was an encounter, an aha moment that I will never forget. I realized that I was not just a person, but a miniature universe with my own planets and galaxies. There were hidden corners that had never been explored, whispers that I had never listened to. Jung showed me that inside each of us is a mysterious treasure trove full of stories, motivations, dreams, and even fears that we are unaware of. Jung, with his ideas about the collective unconscious, archetypes, and complexes, can be intimidating to many people because of their complexity. But my goal here is not to turn you into a Jungian psychologist right away. It is to decode these concepts with you, turning them into practical, understandable tools, keys that will open the door to yourself. Together, we'll explore that mysterious unconscious, that hidden part of the iceberg, how it affects the love you choose, the career you pursue, and even the small decisions you make every day. Each chapter, each concept we go through will be a piece of the puzzle to help you better understand the deep motives behind your behavior, your hidden desires, and the true I that you may have never met. Prepare yourself, because this is not just a theoretical lesson, but a real adventure into yourself, a journey to discover the wonderful and sometimes scary things inside each of us. Are you ready? So, let's get started.
Chapter 1. Consciousness and Unconsciousness, the Iceberg of the Mind. Hello! If you've ever wondered what really defines you, what lies beneath your everyday thoughts and emotions, today we're going to embark on an exciting journey. We're going to dive into C.G. Jung's Psychology of the Unconscious, a book that opened new doors to how we see the mind. And in Chapter 1, we'll start with a familiar yet powerful image, the iceberg in your mind. Imagine your mind as a giant iceberg in the middle of the ocean. The small part that sticks out above the water, sparkling in the sunlight, that is your conscious mind. This is what you know about yourself, the thoughts you are having right now, what you're reading, listening to, seeing. It is the me you project onto the outside, what you are consciously aware of and in control of. The conscious mind is the part we rely on to make everyday decisions, to interact with the outside world. It is the stage where your immediate thoughts and emotions play out. Now, let's look down. The huge, mysterious, submerged part, accounting for 90% of the volume of the iceberg, that is the unconscious. This is a vast treasure trove containing countless things, from memories you thought you had forgotten, repressed emotions, to the most primitive instincts and extraordinary potentials that you have never discovered. The unconscious is like a hidden controller, silently operating most of our lives without us even knowing it. It is where our childhood experiences, nameless fears, and deepest desires are kept. And here's the key point. The conscious and unconscious are not separate. They're constantly dialoguing, interacting, and influencing each other. What lies deep within the unconscious can suddenly rise to the surface, influencing your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors without you even realizing it. It is this constant dialogue that weaves the intricate tapestry of who you are. To make it easier to visualize, think about a familiar question. Why do some people unconsciously choose a partner who has the same characteristics and personality as their father or mother, sometimes even though they do not want it? Obviously, on a conscious level, you may be looking for someone completely different. But deep in your unconscious, you may be attracted to a familiar pattern by memories and patterns that have been imprinted since childhood. Your unconscious is steering your love ship in a direction that your conscious mind cannot explain. Understanding this iceberg concept is an extremely important first step to begin exploring the rich inner world that Jung painted. It will not only help you understand yourself better, but also the people around you. In the next chapters, we'll dive deeper into the other layers of the unconscious and see how they affect our lives. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on this exciting journey. See you soon.
Chapter 2: The Language of the Unconscious: Dreams, Symbols, and Myths. Have you ever wondered why we dream? Are the fragmented images and absurd stories in our sleep just random, the brain's rubbish after a long day? C.G. Jung had a completely different view. For Jung, dreams are not random. They are letters from your inner world, messages, suggestions from the unconscious trying to communicate with the conscious. Think about it. When you sleep, the barriers of reason and the everyday ego are loosened, and the unconscious has the opportunity to send its messages more directly. They can be warnings, instructions, or simply hints about aspects that you have forgotten in your daily life. Personally, I like to think of them as treasure maps that the unconscious sends us, showing us the way to hidden parts of ourselves. But how do we read these letters? They are often written in a kind of code, right? That's where we come in, archetypes. Jung realized that there are universal patterns, common patterns of thought and emotion that exist in all of us, regardless of culture or time. He called them archetypes. Imagine them as basic software that is pre-installed in the operating system of the human psyche. For example, the hero with his journey to face challenges, the great mother with her nurturing and destructive energies, or the wise old man or woman with her ancient wisdom. These are not specific images, but templates from which specific images and stories are formed in dreams, in stories, and in art. And when we expand beyond our individual dreams, we find these symbols everywhere. The myths and fairy tales we've been fascinated by since childhood, from the story of Cinderella to the legends of the gods, are the shared dreams of all humanity. They are how our collective unconscious expresses and processes our most basic human experiences, conflicts, and desires. That's why a 1,000-year-old fairy tale, from a culture far removed from our own, can still touch your heart so deeply. We're drawn to them because they speak to universal human truths encoded in the archetypes we all carry within us. So, how do you begin to read the language of the unconscious in your own dreams? It's not about finding a rigid dream interpretation book, as each symbol can mean something different to each person. The important thing is 1. Dream journal. Keep a journal by your bed. As soon as you wake up, write down anything you remember, images, feelings, stories, no matter how scattered. 2. Don't analyze too soon. At first, just write it down. Then read it back and pay attention to which images, events, or emotions resonate with you the most. 3. Ask yourself, what feelings does this make me feel? What does this image remind me of in my current life? If I were that thing or person in the dream, how would I feel? 4. Look for recurring themes. Do you see the same symbol or similar emotion appearing in multiple dreams?
This is often an important sign. Beginning to read the language of the unconscious is an exciting journey that opens a door to your inner universe. It helps you gain a better understanding of your motivations, fears, desires, and true potential. In Chapter 3, we will continue to explore another aspect of the unconscious, the shadow, the parts that we have denied or do not want to face. See you again.
We will move on to Chapter 3, Libido Energy, the dynamic force of creative living. When you hear the word libido, I know what image comes to your mind. Most of us have been accepted that libido is sexual energy, right? And indeed, Sigmund Freud, C.G. Jung's teacher, laid the foundation for that definition. But today, we will expand that vision with Jung, exploring a concept of libido that goes far beyond what we usually think. For C.G. Jung, libido isn't just confined to the bedroom, folks. He saw it as a general psychic energy, a powerful current that drives our entire being. Think of it like electricity running through your body and mind. It's this current that drives you to act, create, and find meaning. It makes you want to paint a picture, write a song, build a business, or simply wake up each morning with a clear purpose. Jung's libido is the vitality, the desire to create, the spirit of finding meaning in life. It is the fire that burns within you, urging you to reach out, explore, and express yourself to the fullest. But what happens when this powerful flow of energy is blocked? Yes, stagnant life, feeling unmotivated, lethargic, even depressed, often stems from our libido not being able to flow freely. It's like a dammed river. The water is stagnant, unable to flow out to the ocean. Unreleased energy creates pressure, tension, and a feeling of emptiness. So how do you recognize and, more importantly, release your pent-up libido? Ask yourself, what have you been so passionate about that you forgot to eat or sleep? What makes you feel most alive? What passions have you put on hold because of reality, because of external expectations? Sometimes recognizing where we have frozen our energy is the first and most important step. Let's take a typical example. A young person once had a burning dream of becoming a painter, living with brushes and colors. But family and social pressure pushed them into a stable, safe office job, a job they did not like, even hated. At first glance, they had a stable life, high salary, decent house. But deep inside, they felt drained of life energy, empty, tasteless, no longer inspired for anything. This is the sign that libido is blocked, unable to find an outlet to express through creativity, through their true passion. To understand Jung's libido is to understand that each of us carries within us a vast source of inner power. It is not just the power to survive, but the power to create, to shine, to find the true meaning of existence. Listen to the call from deep within you. Find a way to release that energy, and you will find your life filled with unexpected vitality and creativity. In the next chapter, we will delve deeper into how these energies shape the archetypes of the collective unconscious and how they affect us. Don't miss it.
Welcome to Chapter 4, Facing the Shadow, the Dark Side You Deny. Sounds mysterious, right? But trust me, it is the key to a deeper understanding of yourself, one of the most fascinating yet challenging concepts that C.G. Jung has brought to us. So what is the shadow? Simply put, it is the part of you that you don't want to acknowledge. It contains all the traits, desires, and weaknesses that you consider bad, unacceptable, and try to hide, even from yourself. It could be selfishness, greed, irrational anger, or even a thirst for power that you tell yourself you don't have. We push these things into the unconscious drawer because we are afraid of being judged by society or ourselves. How to recognize your shadow? Jung has a great saying: everything that annoys us in others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Think about the things you hate most, the things that make you extremely judgmental in others. Do they make your blood boil? Chances are they are a reflection of your own shadow. For example, maybe you hate showing off. But is it possible that deep down inside, you also crave recognition and want to express yourself, but are afraid of being judged as showing off? Sounds scary, right? Who wants to face those ugly parts? But Jung asserted that embracing your shadow is not something you should do, but the most important step to becoming strong and whole. When you refuse to look at your shadow, it doesn't disappear. On the contrary, it hides deeper and begins to control you unconsciously, like a puppet being pulled by strings without even realizing it. So does facing your shadow mean you have to become a meaner, more selfish person? Absolutely not. Recognizing your shadow is not about becoming mean. It's about not being controlled by it unconsciously. When you become aware of your anger, you can choose to react differently instead of exploding. When you recognize your weakness, you can find ways to overcome it or accept it, instead of pretending to be strong until you're exhausted. This is not an easy journey, but it is a necessary journey for you to truly master yourself, to live a more conscious and authentic life. Remember, there is no light without darkness, and vice versa. In the next chapter, we will go into more detail about how to make friends with this shadow and turn it into your inner source of power. Don't miss it. Welcome to Chapter 5 of our special series on C.G. Jung's Psychology of the Unconscious. Today, we're going to dive into an aspect that we all carry, whether we realize it or not, the anima and animus, the male and female within you. Have you ever wondered why you are so strongly attracted to a certain type of person? Or why you sometimes feel like you act in a way that is completely unlike your natural self? Jung has a very interesting answer. It is because of opposing gender archetypes, images of male and female that exist in each of us unconsciously. Let's start with the anima, or the man's unconscious inner woman. The anima is not a specific woman he meets in real life, but rather the sum of his experiences, emotions, expectations, and stereotypes about women that have been accumulated over a long period of time, from mothers, sisters, girlfriends, and even images from culture and fairy tales. The anima deeply influences how a man feels, evaluates, and interacts with the women in his life. When a man finds an ideal woman, be it gentle, mysterious, or strong, it is often a reflection of his own anima. It shapes his taste, how he approaches romance, and even his relationship problems. In contrast, for women, we have the animus, the inner man. The animus is a collection of masculine qualities such as reason, decisiveness, the ability to act independently, and sometimes even toughness. It governs the way a woman thinks, makes decisions, and expresses her will. A confident, strong, enterprising woman is often one with a well-developed animus, which helps her take charge of her work and life. But if the animus is negative or not properly recognized, it can manifest as rigidity, unnecessary arguments, or rash judgments. So, what does the anima and animus have to do with our love lives? Here's the bottom line. We are often unconsciously attracted to people who reflect or awaken our inner anima and animus. What are you looking for in a partner? Gentleness or strength? Understanding or assertiveness? Often these are the qualities that your anima or animus is longing to be recognized and fulfilled. It's not just a matter of taste, but a deeper, unconscious urge to find the missing piece that makes us whole. Ultimately, Understanding the anima and animus is not just about understanding attraction. The greater goal is to achieve harmony between these two aspects within ourselves. When a man recognizes and integrates his anima, he becomes more sensitive, more understanding, and capable of deeper emotional connections. When a woman masters her animus, she becomes more rational, more assertive without losing her femininity, giving her the confidence to face challenges. This inner balance is the key to deeper, healthier relationships with others, and most importantly, with ourselves. We're constantly evolving, and discovering these hidden aspects of ourselves is an exciting journey that helps us become more whole and self-sufficient in life. Welcome back to Exploring the Unconscious with Jung. Together we have traveled through many corners of the mind, from hidden shadows to powerful archetypes. But perhaps the final question many will ask is, so what for? What is the ultimate goal of all this profound exploration? And this is where we get to the heart of Jungian psychology, the process of individuation. Jung called this the journey to becoming the truest, most complete version of yourself. It may sound lofty, but it's actually much closer than you think. Individuation is not a simple process, but a journey to integrate seemingly opposing parts of ourselves, the conscious and the unconscious. Imagine gathering all the disparate pieces of your life, from your secret dreams, your nameless fears, your burning desires, and the values you believe in, into a single, complete picture. It's important to emphasize that this is not a journey to perfection. None of us are, and Jung didn't expect us to be. The goal is to become whole, to accept both the shiny, proud parts of ourselves and the dark, sometimes frightening parts. The flaws, the failures, the hidden corners that we often try to hide are integral parts of who we are. Only when you dare to look at both sides can you truly understand and accept yourself. And one more extremely important point. The goal of individuation is not to become someone else, not to try to achieve the ideal model set by society or others. It is to become yourself in the most complete, most authentic way. It is to take off the social masks, the expectations from others, to reveal your core, unique self. It is the process of discovering and living true to each individual's unique nature, which Jung believed was the deepest need of the soul. So how long does this journey take? Jung asserts it takes a lifetime. Individuation is not a destination we can reach overnight or after just a few psychology courses. It is a continuous evolutionary process, a never-ending adventure to discover and live fully as your true self at every stage of your life. And the interesting thing is, it starts with a simple but incredibly courageous step: looking inside. It starts with facing the things that scare you, the shadows you've buried, and the potential you've never dared to touch. It requires absolute honesty with yourself, the courage to ask yourself, who am I, and who do I want to be? Hopefully this chapter has helped you better understand the ultimate and lofty goal of Jungian psychology. Individuation is an invitation for each of us to embark on the greatest journey of all, the journey back to ourselves.
Hi, guys! So, we have explored together the initial concepts of the unconscious, according to C.G. Jung. Sounds great, but how do we actually tap into it in our daily lives, right? Don't worry, I have a small, super simple plan that you can start tonight. This is our 7-day action plan, listening to your unconscious mind. The goal is not to analyze or decode everything at once, but to practice listening to the messages your unconscious mind sends you. Day 1 through 3, record your dreams. Keep a small notebook and pen by your bed. As soon as you wake up, before you do anything else, before you even check your phone, write down anything you remember about your dream, whether it's a vague image, an emotion, a brief conversation, or a long story. Don't try to understand it. Just write down what comes to mind. Jung believed that dreams are letters directly from your unconscious. Open it and read it. Day 4 through 5, pay attention to strong emotions. These days, become a detective of your own emotions. Whenever you feel a strong emotional reaction during the day, for example, irrational anger when someone cuts in line, or extreme annoyance when a coworker says something seemingly innocuous, instead of just reacting, pause for a second and ask yourself, what inside me is really reacting here? Maybe it's not just the person cutting in line, but a long-standing sense of injustice. Or maybe it's not just the coworker's words, but some sensitivity in you that's been touched. Day 6 through 7, character reflection. Here's the fun part. Think of a character from a movie, a book, or even a celebrity that you either deeply admire or, conversely, deeply dislike. Then, write down 3 of their most prominent qualities. It may sound strange, but those qualities, whether you love them or hate them, are likely hidden parts of yourself that you haven't yet recognized or accepted. We often react strongly to things that reflect back some part of ourselves, whether positive or negative. Goals for these 7 days? It's a practice of listening, not analyzing. Let these pieces come out, and we'll figure them out together in future videos. The most important thing is to be honest and patient with yourself. Have a great week of listening. Share your experiences in the comments below.
Welcome to the final recap of this video, where we're going to wrap up the 3 most important keys from Carl Jung's exploration of the psychology of the unconscious. These are points that I believe, if you take to heart and reflect on, will truly open new doors in your life. First point, you are more complex and deeper than you think. Respect your inner world. We tend to define ourselves by what is on the outside. Our jobs, our relationships, what others see. But Jung invited us to look deeper. You are more than just your outer shell. Within you is a vast universe of emotions, memories, instincts, primal patterns, and untapped potential. This world is rich, multi-layered, and sometimes chaotic, but it is the source of your uniqueness and true power. Take time to listen to it, explore it. Don't underestimate the whispers, the chaotic emotions, or even your deepest desires. Respect your inner world because it is the source of your uniqueness and true power. When you begin to honor your inner depth, you'll find yourself more connected to your true self. Second point, the unconscious is not your enemy. Learn its language through dreams and symbols, and it will become your ally. We've long been taught that the unconscious is a dangerous place, filled with dark desires and fears that need to be contained. But Jung turned that view on its head. The unconscious is not an enemy, but a storehouse of wisdom, a friend who wants to communicate with you. The problem is, its language isn't the logical language we're used to. It speaks in strange dreams, recurring symbols, sudden feelings, and intuitive prompts. When you start paying attention to your dreams, writing them down, and reflecting on the personal symbols they bring, you open the door for the unconscious to become a powerful ally. It can be a guide to help you better understand your inner conflicts, the paths you should take, and even the issues that need healing. Third point, real growth comes from facing and integrating even the parts of yourself you don't like. This is perhaps the most challenging, but also the most rewarding. We all have parts of ourselves we don't like, flaws, fears, or instincts that we considered ugly and want to hide. Jung called this our shadow. Instead of denying or pushing those parts into the shadows, Jung encouraged us to be brave enough to face them, not to judge or hate ourselves, but to understand. Why do we have those traits? Where do they come from? What message do they have for us? When you dare to acknowledge those less beautiful aspects, understand their root causes, and find ways to integrate them healthily into your whole self, you become more whole, stronger, and more authentic than ever before. True maturity is not about being perfect,
but about accepting and integrating all the pieces that make up who you are. These 3 points are not just dry theories, but keys, powerful tools to help you begin your journey of self-discovery and self-development. Take them with you, reflect on them, and most importantly, start applying them to your life. I hope that through this video, you have gained a new and deeper insight into Carl Jung, and more importantly, into yourself.
Welcome to the end of this exciting journey. So we have dived together into the complex yet fascinating world of C.G. Jung, touching on the fundamental concepts of the unconscious, symbols, and the journey of individuation. You see, the journey of discovering the unconscious is not just a book or dry theories. It is a personal adventure, a journey of self-examination that each of us must walk on our own. And the question is, where will your adventure begin? Jung believed that dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. It's where your mind speaks to you in the language of symbols, metaphors, and archetypal images. So I'm curious to know, what symbols appear most often in your dreams? Or is there a recurring image that gets you thinking? Share it in the comments below. Together, we can see some interesting connections in our collective unconscious. And who knows, you might find some fellow travelers with similar symbols. If this video has given you a new perspective on your inner world, or simply piqued your curiosity, please click the like button. It's a great way to let me know that this content is really useful to you and is a motivation for me to continue creating more quality videos. And if you want to continue my journey of discovering knowledge and life-changing books, subscribe to the channel today so you don't miss any new videos. We have a lot to learn and contemplate together. Now, if you feel a calling from within, an urge to dig deeper, I highly recommend you to read C.G. Jung's Psychology of the Unconscious. It's not just a book, it's a window into an entire inner universe where you can meet yourself in a whole new light. Prepare yourself for a journey that will not be easy, but will definitely be worth it. Finally, if you know someone who is also on a journey of self-discovery, trying to unlock the mysteries of their soul, share this video with them. Sometimes a small idea, a new perspective, can light the fire that lights up the whole path. Remember, the greatest adventure always begins from within. Thanks for joining me on this exciting journey. See you in the next videos.